And it is time to talk some Buffalo Bills taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got panic or patience happening today. Is it time to be patient? Or we just need to slow it down, baby? We need to slim it down now. We got 4 trades that I think should happen. Should they happen? Will they happen? Probably not. But they should. But first, we got to give you the real thoughts. And now, Mike's thoughts. What is up? What is up? What is up, Man Hour Nation? Frank Clark will officially be a Seattle Seahawk. Frank Clark passes physical. Frank Clark is, you know what? Denver wasn't very fun. The grass greener, it wasn't greener on the other side. I got paid all those dollar bills, yo, and guess what? It was not very much fun. So I got to ask you guys this question. I think the Seattle Seahawks can and will do some work. I think the Seahawks will make a lot of noise in the postseason, making the playoffs to win a playoff game 1 or 2. Hell, at this rate, they could possibly even win the NFC West still, like I predicted back in June. We'll see if that happens. Probably not, but we'll see what happens. So the random question of the day is, does Frank Clark move the needle for the Seattle Seahawks? No, he does not. No, he does not. Frank Clark may have been a menace to society a couple years ago, but guess what? He had a great right-hand man in Chris Jones. He had a great other left-hand man in that rookie from, I don't know where he was from, Notre Dame. Porzingis, or how you say his name. I don't even remember how to say his name. The defensive end for the Chiefs, the rookie last year. The point of the matter is that the Seattle Seahawks are just fine without Frank Clark. Now, you can say, oh, they're adding depth, they're adding this, they're adding that, whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Frank Clark does not move the needle for the Seattle Seahawks. Hopefully, for the sake of them, he does not become a cancer like he was in Denver. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that while I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the list sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut you short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live off 3 speakers, go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buccaneers here with the Man. I'm just sort of manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page. Check out the blog section as well. We got new merch and new blogs dropping each and every day over there. So check it out, manhourradio.com or manhour.co.co. No M.co. But we do got a great show for you guys lined up today. We're going to talk about Buffalo Bills taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are going to talk some possible NFL trades that could happen. But first, we gotta welcome the peanut butter to my ladies. The man that makes me go boom, boom, boom in the morning. Brandon Beastie Combs. What is up, Combsy?
What is going on, Man Hour Nation? What is going on, Michael Buckheister? You know, sometimes with your intros, I'm like, I don't know if this is a compliment or I don't know if I should ever be left alone in a room with you, because I might get taken advantage of.
Yeah, sometimes Combsy, you just gotta let the people keep guessing. You never know what you're going to hit them with, just because, you know, if you consistently do the same thing over and over and over, like, oh, here comes Buck, peanut butter to my ladies. Oh, that's funny. But then you hit him with the curveball. Bada bing, bada boom. You're in the World Series, baby.
I think the truth is, from time to time, you don't know what you're going to say until you say it. It just comes out of your mouth.
That's 100% facts. 100% facts. I do not plan it
Perfect.
at all. I do not plan it at all. I'm just like, hey, Bingo. I would have been great up on I would have been great on that TV show. Whose line is it anyways? Just because I can think of stuff so fast and just like it spits it out. I'm like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have said that, but it was funny anyways, right?
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a little improv comedy, especially when it's funny.
Right. Even if it's a little bit of racy, I guess maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you say that? Whatever. It is what it is. But guys, we do have the After Hours show coming up here every Tuesday and Friday at 10 p.m. East Coast time with our man Hoffy, as you guys see it at the bottom of the screen there. Hoffy is the host of the After Hours show. So if you guys ever want to jump in and talk some After Hours NFL talk with Hoffy, jump on in, slide into those DMs, and we'll get you the link. And bada bing, bada boom, Hoffy will lead you in the right direction. But Combsy, you guys had a day off yesterday. I had a day off yesterday. It was nice to sometimes to collect the bearings and be normal for a little bit. What did you do on your beautiful day off?
I went to school. I also did my new radio show here in Chicago on WIMS 1420 AM. And I had me a day. It was a good day yesterday.
Yeah. So guys, I have scheduled a post. So every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. East Coast Time, Combsy does go live on Twitch and the website. And obviously, was it 1450 a.m. You said?
1420 a.m.
1420 a.m. I will schedule a post, guys. So make sure you guys check it out. Give the man support. Combsy is up and coming, and Combsy, the comment of the day already has flowed into the chat. We got our man Wayne G, and he says, "Buck, improv show. Who wants to talk to HR?" Not wrong. Not
facts.
Wrong. That is facts. If we did have an HR department, I would probably be fired. Let's just be totally honest, because some of the things that I say, I'm like, but it's my show. Sorry, you gotta go, man. You gotta go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let's talk a little bit of NFL football now. Let's get deep into the show here. And Combs, I want to start off the bat with some possible NFL trades that I think that should/could happen moving forward. So the one thing that I want to come up is I do not think that these trades will happen, but I think they should happen, and it will definitely help both teams in the process. So the very first trade that I want to consider to put out there, is Derrick Henry, Titans running back, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the worst rushing attack in the NFL. They're averaging 3.1 yards per carry. They are also kind of struggling right now to find their offensive identity. Baker Mayfield was playing out of his mind the first few weeks there, and he's coming back down to reality. They are 3-3, they're 3-4 right now, but they still have a nice little push that they can win the NFC South still. So Combs, when you hear this possible trade of Derrick Henry, Titans running back King Henry, as people like to call them, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what are your first initial thoughts on this?
Well, I believe he's got a 1 year. I think his contract's up at the end of next year. So if you do trade for him, I believe you have 1 more year of control. For Derrick Henry, I'm not sure. I don't know if it makes sense for him to go to the Buccaneers. So they got Rashawn White. Rashawn White's been having a good season. There just doesn't make sense for them to, in the situation that they're in the position that they're in. Anytime you can get Derrick Henry, though, it's one of those where, hey, we could get Derrick Henry. Doesn't matter what running back we have. You could get King Henry. It'd be a good trade for the Bucs, but I'm not so sure that it makes a ton of sense for either side to make that move at this point.
Yeah, so one thing that I have been very adamant on is that the shelf life of a running back is about 5 to 6 years, right? Derrick Henry is what, 8th year in the in the league, and
yeah,
last year he started to slow down a little bit. The previous year he had that, what was it, a hip injury or a knee injury that sidelined him for about 6 weeks, and we saw the emergence of a second running back in Tennessee, and we're like, this year, be a perfect two-headed monster. It is going to be amazing. But the fact of the matter is that King Henry is getting older. The fact of the matter is that the two-headed monster in Tennessee is not as advertised, right? The Tennessee Titans are just not a very good team right now. And if they could get Derrick Henry off of the books and get a first-round pick, get a second-round pick, and maybe that will reignite that fire for Derrick Henry. He's like, man, I got an opportunity to win the NFC South. I got an opportunity to go to the playoffs. And,
think you're going to get a first or second round pick for Derrick Henry?
I think you will get at least a second round pick.
I'm definitely not doing the trade if you want a first or second round pick. Well, absolutely not. Especially not for a running back that's been in the league for as long as there's no way in hell I'm giving up a first or a second round pick. You might get a fourth.
So you legitimately think that a 2,000-yard rusher you are only going to get a fourth-round pick out of?
Yes, for a running back in this league, you're talking about a league that doesn't want to give a running back a contract for more than a year right now. I'm not giving anybody, especially when I've already got a guy like Rashawn White on my team. There's no way that you're giving up more than a fourth-round pick for Derrick Henry.
So you keep talking up Rashad White and the rest of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back. Right now, Combs, they are the worst in the NFL. They're averaging 3.1 yards a carry. They are just not very good. Then you add a Derrick Henry in there. I think that puts you in the front seat of the NFC South. Yes, it might only get you 7 wins, still 8 wins tops, but still, that is all you need to win the NFC South. And once a team makes it into the playoffs, it doesn't matter what their record is. We've seen the Seahawks, what were they, like 7-10, go into New Orleans. They actually hosted the Saints, and they beat the Saints, right? Any given Sunday. It's just Derrick Henry will give you that, what's the word I'm looking for? The perceived notion that you are going to be good and you are going to be well. And that instantly brings guys down into the box, and that instantly opens up the passing game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Their passing game's already open, and that's the thing. That's why they don't have so many run yards, because they're not a run-first team. They're a pass-first offense, and that's not going to change. You're not going to change up your game plan and what you do just to bring in a guy like Derrick Henry, especially again. If you're talking about a 4th, 5th, 6th round draft pick, or maybe a couple of 4th, 5th, 6th round draft picks, I'm in. But a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round draft pick, no. We're not even on the same in the same atmosphere with that.
So let me legitimately bring up this conversation here. Okay, say you are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you reach out to the Tennessee Titans, and they say the Bucs will give you 2 4th-round picks for Derrick Henry. We know the shelf life of a running back. We know the capabilities of a Derrick Henry. Do you make that trade for 2 4s?
I would at least think about it. I'm not sure if I pull the trigger, but that's what gets the conversation started. It is 2 4. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like anything higher than that. Like, you lose me right away. But 2 4s, I mean, it gets the conversation started. I can't say, like, I'd really have to sit down and go through it and break down what Tampa Bay does. But I just think it breaks up what Tampa Bay is all about right now. And Tampa Bay is about Baker Mayfield and throwing the ball, and Michael Evans and all these other wide receiver weapons that they have, Chris Godwin. They're about throwing the football. And I'm just not so sure that you bring in a running back like Derrick Henry, who's going to command the ball so much, and break that up. But I would at least consider it once you start with 2 4s.
Yeah, and then Wayne G comes in with a great point here. Make it a conditional 4th-round pick, and it becomes a 3rd round with a certain number of carries. I think that would be a perfect trade. I mean, I think that's right up the.
Well, yeah, because then I'd hold them underneath those carries.
I don't know. John is in the chat. John, we will be talking about the Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up momentarily here. But right now we are talking about some trades that I think that need to happen. And the next trade that I think needs to happen is Chase Young, the Washington Commanders defensive end. I think Chase Young needs to get out of Washington. They've been kind of flirting with the idea for the last couple years, it seems like, but too bad he hasn't been healthy. But I think Chase Young to the Jacksonville Jaguars makes a lot of sense. Josh Allen down there in Jacksonville is doing a lot of work. He is a man among men out there, but then you add another dominant force like a Chase Young on the other side of the ball. Look out, baby. I think the sky is the limit for the Jacksonville Jaguars if they make this trade. Combs, give me your raw reaction of Chase Young to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, Chase Young makes any team better. Chase Young is a legit talent in the NFL. I believe he's already got 5 or 6 sacks on the year. My problem is off the edge is he doesn't help stuff the run game as much as I would like off the edge, right? Like he's not one of those forces that helps you in your run defense. He does help you in your pass rush for sure. And I know a lot of people say, well, he's an edge rusher. You want your edge rushers to be able to rush the pass. I also like them to be able to stop the run off the corner. Like you look at a Joey Bosa, you look at Khalil Mack, you look at those types of players that have always been able to do both. Chase Young doesn't really have that ability. When you watch him play, he can't beat a running back off the edge. He's not quick enough. I like him to Jacksonville. I like him to any team, to be honest with you. If I'm Jacksonville, I pull off that trade. I pull off that trade too. Again, though, I don't know if I'm getting probably a third. I'll probably give you a third and a fourth, but I'm not going first or second.
Yeah. See the problem that I've experiencing with Chase Young and why I was even hesitant of putting them on the list that for possible trade was his injury history, right? Has he played more than 6 games in a season since his rookie year? I don't think so. It just seems like every time he starts to get going, everything starts to trend the right way. Bada bing, bada boom, he gets hurt again. It's like, dude, at some point you have to realize that you were just glass and take care of your body or something. Like, I don't know. It seems like he would be a perfect fit in San Francisco as well with all the injury issues that he's having.
Could you imagine him on the other side of Nick Bosa?
Not only Nick Bosa, but Armstead and Frank Warner. Like that defense would be so bad, or like bad as in good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be one of those defenses that you would definitely fear heading in. And Chase Young, he played 15 games his rookie year,
right?
And hasn't played more than 9 since.
Yeah, because he tore his ACL, and then this year he got like a stinger in his shoulder. It was like, ow, I hit somebody too hard. I'm a little baby. And then
he's played 5 of the 6.
Right.
He's played 5 of the 6. But he also, like last year, it was his ACL last year, right? Or was that 21? Because I know he only played 3 games last year.
I think his ACL was his second year, and then he missed all of his second year, and in his third year he didn't come until week 10 or week 11, I think it was. So he pretty much missed.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could be wrong.
So he wasn't on that Adrian Peterson rehab assignment. Basically, is what you're saying.
No, he or the Aaron Rodgers rehab assignment. Just like either.
Yeah.
Good Lord, isn't that guy crazy?
So we're saying Chase Young is kind of a bitch.
Yeah, I guess you can say that.
Okay.
Rob, I just saw your comment here, and he says the Browns could use Derrick Henry or a left tackle to replace Jedrick Willis. I don't think the Browns need Derrick Henry. I think the Browns are just fine with Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford is that his first
Jerome
name?
Ford, yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah, so first of all, Ford is young. He's a rookie, if I'm not mistaken. And Kareem Hunt, he's in like his sixth year, but he's been used very, very sparingly. And this year, maybe he get a little bit of a workload.
And see, if I'm any team, I'm going after. If I'm going to go after a Derrick Henry type. Like I have to be one of the top 6 teams in the entire league, and I have to pair him up with a stud running back. Like and people might think that this is crazy. San Francisco, right?
For Derrick
Because
Henry?
San Francisco, because then what you do is you pair him up with CMC. You have the biggest two-headed monster in the league, and you've got 2 guys that are constantly, when we talk about injuries, we got 2 guys like that, but Derrick Henry and CMC both being able to rest while, every go every other series with them, whatever you want to do, you could get that. That would be an ingenious move for the San Francisco 49ers.
No. See, this is what makes CMC great and Derrick Henry great, is that they get better as the game goes on. Now, if you start alternating them every other series, or hey, you rest the series, like you don't get into that groove because.
But you've got CMC now, who's clearly playing injured.
Right.
Clearly, CMC's hurt right now. If you've got a guy like Derrick Henry with the ability for CMC to take, hey, look, you have to be out for a game or 2 because you're injured. Sit out a game or 2. We've got Derrick Henry that can carry the load. You come back healthy, we could do whatever we need to do. But to have that 2-headed monster, imagine trying to game plan for that team.
On paper, it sounds great. On paper, it sounds amazing, but like in my mind, in my gut, it doesn't make sense. Like, because you have to give CMC the ball 20, 25 times a game. You have to give Derrick Henry the ball 20, 25 times a game. And, oh, by the way, you still got to let Debo eat. Oh, by the way, you still got to let Brandon Ayuk eat. Oh, by the way, George Kittle is still there. There's only one ball.
In your mind, does anything make sense?
Yes. A lot of things make sense. Wayne G brings up a great point here about Chase Young, and he says Chase Young is a free agent after the season, so I wouldn't give more than a 5th for 8 games for him. But think about this, Wayne G. Was it the LA Rams a couple years ago? They went all in on their Super Bowl, 100%. They said, we are going all in on our Super Bowl. They went out and got Von Miller. Von Miller was on an expiring contract as well. I think they ended up giving like a 2nd-round pick for him, maybe. But that definitely put them up over the edge. That definitely made the Rams that dominant defense that they were in the Super Bowl. So if you are a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, hell, a team like the San Francisco 49ers, do you go all in on this Super Bowl and do you give up, a 2nd-round pick for a Chase Young? I would say yes. Now, maybe not the Chiefs, but the 49ers or the Jaguars or hell, the Buffalo Bills, I could see it.
You're going to give up a 2nd-round pick for a guy who, like you've said, hasn't played more than 9 games since his rookie season, who has an injury of health issues. There's no, again, I mean, there's no way I'm giving you up that much for Chase Young.
How much is the Super Bowl worth?
Yeah, there's no guarantee you're winning a Super Bowl with Chase Young. Chase Young doesn't put you into a Super Bowl right away. Especially if by week 10 or 11, the guy could be on IR.
I think adding him to the right defense, he does make you a Super Bowl contender team. San Francisco 49ers, Jacksonville Jaguars, Dallas Cowboys,
Cleveland Browns.
Hell, even the Cleveland Browns. Chase Young to one of those dominant defenses instantly catapults you up, I think.
I agree, as long as you're not giving up too much. You can't mortgage the future for a guy like Chase Young, for a guy who's so injury prone. I mean, the 49ers did it for CMC. Right. And he's sort of paying dividends, but at the same time, like, the guy he just gets hurt because of what he does on the field. He just gets hurt. And Chase Young would have to prove to me that he's going to stay healthy.
Well, how do you prove
before
that?
I'm giving up that much?
How do you prove that in the next 4 days?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You can't give up. You can't give that up right now.
Okay, so
go
ahead.
It's just not something that when you're looking at a 2nd-round draft pick, right? You start looking at players taken in the 2nd round. the talent you could possibly get in the second round to move your franchise forward is not worth giving up for a guy who can't stay healthy. It's just not. Fourth, fifth, maybe sixth, yes. Not in the second round. Top 3 rounds, you can't do that for a Chase Young.
49ers did it to CMC. So only time will tell. But we got to welcome the other part of the show, the third wheel, as they like to call him, the Hofstetter. Hoffy, welcome.
He's our third leg.
Welcome to the show, Hoffy. We've been talking about Chase Young, Hoffy. When you look at Chase Young's stats here and his possible value worth out there, is Chase Young valued at a second-round pick for a team, do you think?
No, I mean, I agree with Brandon. He does have 5 sacks this year, but he's a health liability. But 2 of those sacks also come against the Giants, who average like 11 sacks a game.
That was one time.
Still, they can't keep. I mean, you got to count to 7 Mississippi before you're allowed to blitz the Giants quarterbacks. And then he does have 1.5 against the Broncos, another questionable offensive line. So 3.5 of his 5 sacks are against teams that, Brandon Combs could probably sack their quarterback.
Well, let's not get too crazy because we know that Combs' real MO is getting off his chair, going to this refrigerator and getting a sandwich. So
my point exactly.
My wife makes my sandwiches.
Your wife, lucky you. My wife burned water. Hey, baby.
It's about the only thing that Hoffy's wife doesn't do for him.
Right.
Sad but true.
So if you guys don't know, Hoffy is not very technologically sound. Is that even a word? Technologically?
Technologically? Well, yeah, it is. It is when you don't stutter the first 4 syllables every time you say it.
We got jokes. All right, moving on. John Peoples in the chat. Good morning to you, John. He says, morning, yo. He says, lost my signal for a minute. Who do you have, man? Who do you have? Jameson is in the chat. He is a huge San Francisco 49ers fan, and he says Chase Young to San Francisco for Drake Jackson and a 3rd-round pick. Combs. Ooh. That seems kind of intriguing, right? I mean, that's not your 4th-round pick that you were hoping for, just a straight-up 4th-round pick.
I would do it. I would do it the opposite of what Wayne G was saying earlier. If I'm San Francisco, sure, I'll send you a 3rd round. But if Chase Young doesn't play more than what we have left,
8 games.
8 games left. So if he doesn't play more than 5 of those 8 games, it turns into a 4th, or maybe a 5th. I would do a conditional pick like that. I'd make that move. Like if you're San Francisco, you can make that move, right? Because you've got the depth chart to make that move if something were to go wrong. But if you're a team like, let's say, like you were talking about Jacksonville, you don't have the depth chart to make that move and have it go wrong.
Makes sense.
So you have to be able to sustain a fallback if you're going to make a move like that.
Very, very true. And Jameson agrees as well with that. And Jim says, if she's making sandwiches, she's not making my sandwich. My make sandwiches is so real. What? I'm not for sure what he's trying to say there. If she's making...
I think he's saying his wife makes sandwiches better than our wives. Oh. And that's probably true.
Yeah.
Because, unless it's ramen noodles, I'm not so sure that our wives know how to cook it.
Yeah. Very, very true. John comes.
Why are you staying so quiet, Hoffy?
So John says, if Kirk Cousins was in San Francisco, they would run the table. Kirk Cousins to San Francisco, not going to happen at all. But
wow.
But
Kirk Cousins for Brock Purdy?
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. Because
if you're Minnesota, you make that move. No,
$900,000 on their salary.
What, Hoffy?
They need Purdy because of his, cheap salary and the rest of the guys they're paying.
Right. Well, not
Cousins.
And on top of that, when you look at Brock Purdy right now, he is probably valued at 3 first-round picks.
That might be high.
Think so? A starting quarterback in the league that's lost 2 regular season games. Combs?
I think that's high.
Think it's high. So what is a correct valuation for a Brock Purdy then?
Kirk Cousins.
Straight up. So you have Kirk Cousins that is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. You have Brock Purdy on a rookie deal, $900,000 for 2 more seasons at least. You can probably extend that with a 5th-year option or something.
You have a guy who over the last 3 weeks is really starting to show why he might have been the last pick in the NFL draft. You have a guy who was the last pick in the NFL draft who's playing out of his mind for the last year and a half. And stuff like that can happen. You can find guys that just play out of their mind for a little while and then just come back down to earth. And I'm not saying that that's what Brock Purdy is, but what I'm saying is when you watch him play over the last couple of weeks, you watch the overthrows, you watch the underthrows, you watch those 2 interceptions he threw in that they were bad interceptions. And those are passes that if Justin Fields makes that throw, if I'm trying to think of another, if Baker Mayfield makes that throw, we're eating them alive. And for Brock Purdy, we're just like, Brock Purdy's going to be great because Brock Purdy's a pocket passer. Stop. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft for a reason. Brock Purdy has been playing out of his mind. If you mortgage the future for Brock Purdy, if you're talking about a second or first or third round, if I'm the 49ers, I don't even you. As soon as first comes out of your mouth, I don't even let you finish round pick. I say yes, deal.
Listen, I believe I said this last season. Earlier this season, I said the same thing about Brock Purdy. I actually broke down film for our members and said, this is why he sucks. Overthrows, bad throws, misreads, steps in the... I said everything that you just said. But yet I was deemed a hater. I was deemed this, and this. And now all of a sudden, everybody's jumping on the Buck bandwagon. And you guys want to pat your chest and yeah, I said that. Look, I said the same thing about...
The problem is nobody listens when you talk, Buck.
That's the problem. You guys need to start opening up your damn ears and start listening. Hoffy, I know you have not been on the man hour for a very long here, but 2 years ago, I said the same thing about Lamar Jackson. Yes, Lamar Jackson has had an MVP, but he has been complete trash. Stephen A. Smith on First Take, I just saw a little highlight tape that Flimo Raps did, right? And
Didn't he just absolutely destroy the Detroit Lions?
Yes, he did, but do it to me in January, babe. Whatever. We're not going to do
that
in January.
You knew that was coming, Buck.
Knew what was coming.
He's completed 71%.
January argument.
He's completed 71% of his passes this year and has 8 touchdowns to 3 interceptions.
In September,
Lamar Jackson does.
in October. Give the man a round of freaking applause, baby.
He won an MVP, Buck.
By default.
Oh Jesus!
If Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have got hurt, he wouldn't have won that MVP. Straight up. John says it's because he got a lump on his head from falling off so many bandwagons. Oh, you mean bobblehead, not fan. Oh, John, taking shots at me because I like to root for success, like I like to root for the greatest, best thing.
We need an overlay of Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Kelsey.
I got
Taylor Swift. Sorry,
I actually got the dance queued up. If you want to see it.
No, I don't.
Okay, let's make it.
I'll leave the show so quick.
Good.
I will break my computer. If I see them two pop on screen, bad things will happen.
Okay, I got that.
I will say to Buck's point, Lamar Jackson is 1-4 in the month of January, with like an average of 113 yards a game.
Told you, he sucks in January.
And a completion percentage of 55%.
Listen, stop pulling stats out of Munchkin land.
That's his whole job. It's the Hofstadter. That's the whole job.
It's true.
That's literally the only reason why he is here.
We don't
Maybe you
talk
should
common
try
sense on
Stefan
this
from
show
dealing.
with
Fun.
Buck.
Every
Come
once
on
in a
now.
while, I gotta help him pump his chest. Okay.
I don't need help. Your stats backed up everything that I just said, Hoffy. Thank
It's
you.
better than what you usually help him pump.
That's so dumb. Jesus Christ. Whatever. Moving on. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions. This is another trade that I think need to happen for the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are running with some secondary injuries, right? They've been bitten by the injury bug very, very bad. Julian Blackmon, Colts safety, I think need to be traded to the Detroit Lions. I think that would help that secondary out tremendously. Give Bam Bryan, is it Bam Bryan? It's Brian something. I can't remember. It's the rookie that they drafted. Get him back in the nickel package. Bring up Julius Blackmon. Bada bing, bada boom. Magic, baby. Combs, does this trade need to happen? Julian Blackmon to the Detroit Lions.
If I'm the Lions, I would probably make this trade. I don't know what the terms would be, but to bring Julian Blackmon in, I mean, look, you have a really good football team. I know what happened in Baltimore, okay? But you still have a really good football team. You still have a schedule that is favorable to you. You go out and get a guy like this, and you're a 12-5 football team heading into the playoffs, and you're a 1 or a 2 seed in Detroit. It's worth it because of how bad your organization has been over the last 20 plus years. You go out and you do what you've got to do. This is one of those teams that is in a position to go out and make a move that will vault them into that next tier of football teams.
Yeah, so Jim says do not make any changes in Detroit till after Monday night. Listen, the trade deadline is Tuesday. And yes, we want to see how the Detroit Lions do fare in this upcoming week, sure. But on the flip side of that coin, other teams might be calling about Julian Blackmon. He is on an expiring contract. He is a free agent at the end of this year, I do believe. But I think on the right team, he can make that team a lockdown defense, and the Detroit Lions are just that close to being very, very locked down. Yes, they did have a bad game versus the Baltimore Ravens. They did. You cannot put it any other way. They had a very, very bad game versus the Baltimore Ravens. But if you added Julian Blackmon to an already stout defense that is injury prone, or not injury prone, but that is riddled with injuries right now, and you bring him in there, holy crap, look out, baby. The Detroit Lions Super Bowl is not a far-fetched reach then. Right now, I feel like they're kind of reaching for straws a little bit. Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, slow it down. But then you add Julian Blackmon on there, holy crap, look out. Look out. Hoffy, you seem to be a little in a conundrum over there. What are your thoughts about Julian Blackmon?
I was just confirming your thoughts on this being his last year, which in 2020 he signed his rookie deal for 4 years. So, this I think he's got one more year after this year.
I thought I read that this was
No, it's on his last. Yeah, he's on his last contract. So
No,
20
you're right.
counts at
He
his
is.
first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You're right.
but this, I mean, he's on pace for a career year. He's already matched his career highs and all of his numbers, and you're only in week 7. So his trajectory is shooting up. He's a safety that will absolutely help your secondary. And you've already got a really good front 7 in Detroit. I would make this move if I'm the Detroit Lions. I don't wait. I go out and I see what it takes. Obviously, there is a line that you don't cross, right? Because I mean, again, if you go out and you get Julian Blackmon and they're asking for the world for this kid, then maybe hands are off, right? Because in reality, this is a guy who's never had more than 2 interceptions in any given season of his first 4. This is a guy who's never had more than 35 solo tackles in a season in his 4th year. But he has already, like I said, he's already matched those career highs. So I'd give up a little. I'd see what I got to do go it. And if you get to that line, then you don't. But if I'm Detroit, I go out and I make this move instantly.
So here's the one thing that only kind of scares me about that trade a little bit. Jameson is asking who is Blackmon. Blackmon is a starting safety for the Indianapolis Colts. So the only thing that legitimately kind of scares me is C.J. Gardner-Johnson was on a 1-year deal with the Detroit Lions as well, right? And he is obviously hurt, but he has kind of expressed interest, like he wants to stay there long term. So if you do bring in a Julian Blackmon, does that possibly hinder the bringing back of C.J. Gardner? Like you'd be like, oh look, you guys already got a good secondary. You don't need me. I'm going to go to a team that.
No, it doesn't hinder it because he's only on a 1-year deal. So you're kind of bringing him in as a filler piece. You're bringing him in as somebody to hold the place because you're not going to get rid of Gardner Johnson. I mean, that would be kind of silly, right? So you bring in Blackmon, see how he fits. Maybe he's a nice piece. Maybe you figure it out at that point, but you bring him in for this season.
Well, yeah,
when you don't have Gardner Johnson,
right? But like usually when people trade for players on an expiring contract, it is kind of like a unwritten gentleman's handshake, like, hey, we're going to give you a contract at the end of the season. And I wonder if that would put a little bit of shade on CJ, like you'd be like, look, why you guys give me a bigger contract?
Yeah, it just depends on the deal. Again, it depends on what, and I can't imagine the Colts are asking for much.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a 3rd rounder that they drafted this season, and they're wanting to get him on the field. So I think that's the only reason why they would eventually move on from Blackmon. Hoffy, what are the thoughts over there on the Hofstetter side?
I mean, they have like the 10th ranked I think it's 11th ranked defense right now, number 2 in rush, but like 24 in passing. So I think if they want to make a run at a potential Super Bowl, they do need to do something, and I think Blackmon would be a great addition to their team. And I think that they have a pretty young team in the fact that I don't think they're really too cap strapped. So I think they could bring back both next year. And I mean, we don't even know on what they're going to do with Jared Goff. Are they going to move on from Jared Goff after the season? I mean, I think with what he's doing this year, that's going to be tough to do. I don't think they're going to want to rely on, Hendon Hooker. But
and that's the thing too, is that you got to remember, because of that TJ Hawkinson deal, the Lions still do have the Vikings 3rd round draft pick. So you trade your 3rd round draft pick, keep the Vikings 3rd round draft pick, which is going to be a better pick, and you can go and get this guy, and you're not giving up any of your draft stock, right? Like, you're giving up a 2nd, 3rd round pick, but it's still something that's worth this trade, because he instantly makes your secondary better.
Right. And I would like to touch on the Jared Goff thing a little bit here. I think Jared Goff is out of Detroit if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, to be flat out honest. Like, I think it's Hendon Hooker's team moving forward. I think Jared Goff is on borrowed time right now.
Wow. That's a lot right there.
Why else would you spend such a high draft pick on Hendon Hooker if you didn't? I don't know.
Why would you spend such a high draft pick on Trey Lance too? Because you miss. I mean, I'm not certain that this is a going to be handed to Hendon Hooker anytime soon. I then again, we haven't heard anything about him coming out. Like, how does he look? How does I don't know any of these things, so I'd have to do some research on that. But I haven't heard anything about Hendon Hooker that makes me think that this team's just going to be handed to him in the next year.
Well, I think it's true, but Jim says Jared Goff is better than Patrick Mahomes. Okay.
Whoa.
Maybe right now in the NFL, sure. Maybe in the previous 7 weeks of this 2023 NFL season, sure. But if you had an opportunity to start your team around Jared Goff or Patrick Mahomes, I'm picking Patrick Mahomes 10 out of 10 times.
And if the Lions traded Jared Goff for Patrick Mahomes right now, you would like go streaking around your neighborhood in excitement with your Lions flag. Get the hell out of here. There's no damn way that you truly believe that Jared Goff is better than Patrick Mahomes. I
Right.
mean, that's foolish.
So one more thing that one more trade that I think I should happen before we get into panic or patient mode moving forward here is the defensive back Jalen Johnson. I think Jalen Johnson needs to go to the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, ever since losing Trayvon Diggs, has kind of been lost, right? Stephon Gilmore was a good addition this season, but you can see that he is a little bit older. He is a little bit slower. But I think Jalen Johnson to the Dallas Cowboys makes them even more of a Super Bowl contender with that better lockdown defense. Combs, what are your first initial thoughts of the Jalen Johnson trade?
It makes a lot of sense for the Bears. It doesn't seem like they are going to be high on this guy. I don't know that they're going to re-sign him anyway. Plus, you're playing for draft picks at this point anyway. So if I'm the Bears, you might see what you can get for Jalen Johnson. And with the state that the Cowboys defense is in right now, you might be able to get more than you would normally be able to get for him.
Yeah, I think anytime the Bears can get some type of draft capital from a player that clearly doesn't want to be in Chicago, you might as well get it right. Get it right.
And he doesn't fit their defensive scheme very well either.
Yeah, I don't think anybody fits their defensive scheme right.
I don't even know what their defensive scheme is. It's where you run a cover 2 and your linebackers crash the quarterback while your safeties crash the end zone, and you leave the entire middle of the field open.
Yeah.
So it doesn't usually bode well for a secondary.
All right, guys. So let's move on to a new segment that we like to call Panic or Patient. It is, we got 4 topics here, and we're going to ask the question, should we be panicking or should the team be patient? It is very, very simple. It is very cut and dry, but Combs makes it as more complicated as he could possibly be because he is a college student right now, and a man is not a man unless he has a female body parts. Right, Combsy?
The fuck just happened? What?
HR just called. Sorry, Wayne. But panic or patience? Are you ready to get like started?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, guys. So the first panic or patient of the day here, we have to go out to the West Coast. We have to go to Santa Clara, California. And that's the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy has officially entered concussion protocol, giving way for Sam Darnold possibly to start this weekend versus the Bengals. The 49ers have 2 straight losses so far this season. So, Combs, with Brock Purdy being in concussion protocol, playing the Cincinnati Bengals at home, Sam Darnold possibly starting, should the San Francisco 49ers be in panic mode?
If Sam Darnold is starting football games, yes, you should panic and you should figure something out. You've got to figure something else out. If Sam Darnold's starting football games for you, you've got no shot whatsoever. This offense is not built for a guy that is just a game managing and not even a very good one at that quarterback. This defense is at a point where it cannot just hold down the fort for you to allow you to win games 10-6. And so if I'm the 49ers, I'm panicking all over the place.
Yeah, so every time I look at the San Francisco 49ers, I get very, very confused. When I talk down about Brock Purdy, people come through at my throat. When I start to praise the man, saying that he is a elite quarterback, people are saying, oh, he's trash. So all the San Francisco 49ers fans out there, I don't know what you want me to say anymore. This is a live, raw, uncut NFL talk, and I tell you the way I see things happening. So with that, with that being said, it is time to be patient in San Francisco.
What?
It is time to simmer down now. It is time to just sit back and relax in San Francisco. Why? Because yes, Brock Purdy has had a bad game, right? When we look back to this Cleveland Browns game, he did put the team in a game-winning position. He did drive down the field. Yes, his game was kind of blah, right? But that last second drive, if the third round kicker would have actually made that kick, we would not be in this situation at all.
Hold on. Time out.
Okay.
Flag on the play. Personal foul. you have said that Brock Purdy is not good. Brock Purdy's not this. Brock Purdy, blah, blah, blah. Nobody listened to me when I said that Brock Purdy isn't the quarterback of the future. Nobody listens to me. Nobody ever listens to what I say. And now, I know that's what I was doing on purpose. And now what you're doing is saying that they need to be patient and that Brock Purdy is just fine. What are you doing?
I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is just fine. I'm saying that they need to be patient. Brock Purdy did lead them down into a game-winning opportunity. A third-round kicker missed a chip shot that when you spend a third-round pick on a kicker, you should be nailing those kicks in your sleep. But they do play the Bengals this week, a Bengals team that's kind of like, what are they doing? They're not very good right now. Now, they are coming off the bye week. Joe Burrow might be a little bit more healthier, but I'm saying be patient because they got one of the best defenses in the NFL. And they're going to probably trade for Chase Young. The 49ers are going to be just fine. They do have a little bit of a gauntlet of a schedule moving forward. They do play the Bengals, and they do travel to Jacksonville. They play the Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Eagles. But then they got the Cardinals, Ravens,
and Eagles
in December, and the Commanders, and then the Rams. They'll be just fine. Let's not panic yet. Just be patient. Be patient. What do you want to say? Go for it.
It's time to panic. If Brock Purdy's starting football games for you, or I'm sorry, if Sam Darnold's starting football games for you, if Brock Purdy has a concussion and he's going to miss any more than just this week, I mean, again, gauntlet of a schedule.
Right.
Gauntlet of a schedule. Bengals, Jaguars, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks. Then you do get a bye week against the Cardinals, but then you got to play the Ravens. Like, this is a gauntlet of a schedule for the San Francisco 49ers. And if Sam Darnold is starting football games for you, it's time to panic. If Brock Purdy comes back and he is even he's got to be 10 times better than what he was over the last 2 weeks. I just think it's time to panic for the San Francisco 49ers. I think they've got to look for something.
Hoffy, bring some validity into this conversation here.
I mean, they've lost the last 2 weeks, but they're moody away from hitting those 2 field goals away from being undefeated still. If he hits that field goal against the Browns, they win that. He missed one early in the game last week. That hurt them, and then that would have been a game-winning field goal at the end of the game there. So I mean, they could very easily still be undefeated. And I don't think that Brock Purdy's not going to be back by the time they're going against that gauntlet as far as the Ravens and such. So
they lost by 5 to Minnesota. It wasn't even a field goal game.
Yeah, but that one
But they hit the field goal at the beginning of the game.
Momentum.
Then at the end of the game, when they're driving and need a touchdown to win, they just run the clock down and they hit a game-winning field goal.
If he hits it and doesn't miss it like he did in Cleveland.
Right.
But if you score more than 17 points against the Minnesota Vikings,
they're also
then you don't have to worry about it. You've got an offense that was so inept for Minnesota. I'll give you Cleveland. Cleveland's got one of the best defenses in the league. So for them to shut you down doesn't exactly shock me. But when you walk into Minnesota, a 1-5 football team, and you let them shut you down like that, something's going on. And like I said, Brock Purdy did not look good.
Injured.
I know CMC's still injured. That's even more reason to panic. Because he's still hurt. He didn't get healthy over the last 4 days.
In the words of one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, you just need to relax. RELAX.
I'm going to punch you in your throat if you ever quote Aaron Rodgers ever again.
Yeah. So
Especially when you sound like a lollipop kid.
So when I go into my dark retreat at like at night, and I picture the NFL season, Combs.
You don't talk about Cindy like that.
I sit there in my dark room and I hypnotize and start getting some ecstasy. Right. The point of the matter is that the San Francisco 49ers were without Deebo Samuel. They were with a hindered CMC. Yes. Brock Purdy had the worst game of his NFL career versus the Minnesota Vikings. We were just talking about how the Detroit Lions did not show up against the Baltimore Ravens. We were just talking about how the Buffalo Bills did not show up against the New England Patriots, right? Every team has that game. It just happened to be for the 49ers that they were on primetime television, Monday Night Football, take on a 1-5 football team. Sorry, that is just the way it is. They are perfectly fine. Combs, I know as a Bears fan, you are used to panicking over like Justin Fields MVP if he goes in the other team. No, he's not.
Trust me, if anybody knows
patient.
about bad quarterback play and about a quarterback that you need to get away from, it would be a Bears fan.
I just. Jim says truth. Truth as in Hoffy's kicking the early field goal, making it, and then not running down the clock and winning the last game. What kind of day did Kirk Cousins have? Kirk Cousins played out of his freaking mind on Monday night versus San Francisco 49ers. Kirk Cousins.
Which is why he needs to go to San Francisco.
Kirk Cousins,
right
the
now.
MVP. They can't afford Kirk Cousins. They just gave Nick Bosa the 20% stake in the ownership of the team. Like, the 49ers have to have Brock Purdy. And once they use him on his 4-year deal, they can sign him to like $1 million. That's not going to happen. They're going to find another diamond in the rough because Hoffy, I think you said it best. The 49ers are a system quarterback. They can legitimately find any quarterback in the NFL draft and make him a great quarterback, right, Hoffy?
They got my guy Brandon Allen out of Arkansas.
Yeah. And I think we need to put just as much, blame on the San Francisco 49ers defense for losing that game. They didn't touch Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, how are you going to win a game when you can't even create pressure on the opposing quarterback?
Yeah, and John said Kirk Cousins definitely outperformed Purdy. Yeah, he did. Kirk Cousins finally performed on primetime, and it was
San Francisco was also without 2 of their offensive linemen. Yep. So Purdy wasn't exactly in a clean pocket the whole game either.
Any chance Brandon Allen starts over Sam Darnold?
No. I think Brandon Allen is the emergency quarterback only.
I think Deebo Samuel plays quarterback before Allen.
Probably.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. There you go.
Probably not wrong. Moving on to the next panic or patience. Here in Cleveland, Ohio, the beautiful city where everything's run down and everything looks magical, PJ Walker will be making his another start versus the Seahawks this weekend as Deshaun Watson's shoulder is injured again. Is it time to panic or be patient in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson? Combsy.
I'd panic too. This is another one. He's a guy who just ever since he's come back, he can't stay healthy. I mean, when he is healthy, he's shown signs of being able to be the old Deshaun Watson, but he can't stay healthy. Every time he gets back on the field right now, he goes back off the field. And I don't know if it's a matter of the time off taking a toll on his body. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe he needs to go get a couple of massages to take care of whatever it is, but they need to figure it out because at this point, I can't count on Deshaun Watson to lead my football team, and we have a really damn good football team.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns are very, very good right now. But the point of the matter is you have to be patient in Cleveland. You have to be patient because you effed yourself by giving him the world's dumbest contract. You gave everything for this man. You gave him like 17 first-round picks, $250 million guaranteed. Let's say Deshaun Watson gets cut from the Cleveland Browns this week, Holmes. Let's say he goes and does something stupid. I don't know, like he drives drunk and kills a dog, right?
Goes to a massage parlor.
They legitimately still have to pay the man $200 million still. There is $200 million of dead cap hit this season alone. Next season, $180 million dead cap hit.
Right.
The simple fact of the matter is that the Browns have to be patient. They have to be patient because they literally bet everything on this guy. And if you panic, PJ Walker's our guy. Panic, get Deshaun Watson out of town. Who is going to take that contract off of your hands? Nobody.
So you've already spent hundreds of millions of dollars on Deshaun Watson. You spend a couple hundred, go to the nearest Asian massage parlor.
They can't afford it.
You sign in as Robert Kraft, so nobody bats an eye at it.
They can't afford it.
And you get away with it. And then all of a sudden Deshaun stays healthy again because he's back to his Texans ways.
Listen, the Cleveland Browns have an in-house massage therapist that they have assigned strictly just for Deshaun Watson.
I just don't understand the problem. The guy liked getting happy endings. I think as men, we can agree we would all love some happy endings. So why do we crucify this guy when all he is doing is trying to do what we're all doing?
There's a difference between Kraft getting a happy ending and Watson forcing women to give him a happy ending.
Who said he forced him? He was not found guilty. Allegedly. Exactly. It's not like we've never seen any false allegations.
Did your mom not teach you?
Let's look at our guy. I know we don't like to talk about baseball on here, but let's look at our guy in the baseball world who got accused of it as well.
Podcast. This
let's
is
look at
baseball.
But that's what I'm saying. Let's look at Trevor Bauer. He just got falsely accused, and he just came out and showed all the evidence about him being falsely accused in a great tweet, by the way. There was like a 3-minute video just destroying this girl who falsely accused him. How do we know Deshaun Watson isn't in the same booth?
There's a difference between one person calling you an asshole, 3 people,
Why?
or in Watson's
when there's
case,
that much money
30-something.
involved. When there's that much money involved, you can find 30-something women that are going to falsely accuse somebody for that much money.
Whatever. Regardless, Buck is right. You have to be patient because they have a $44 million signing bonus on this guy. So even if they find someone to take the contract, that $44 million still hits on dead cap. So they have to stay patient. They have to just continue to wait for Watson to get healthy and come back.
I'm calling Judy. She's got to hide those baby shower balloons. He keeps sucking on them.
He sounds fine to me. Whatever. XD Gamers in the chat. What is up, XD Gamer? How does it feel to have your Jacksonville Jaguars number 5 in the NFL Power Rankings? Wow. So moving on to the next. What?
Who's number 5?
Jacksonville Jaguars.
What's this button?
Oh God. What's this button do?
All right, moving on to the next panic or patient of the day here. We have my man, Kyler Murray. He was a full participant in Wednesday's practice for the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 1-6 so far on the season. Coming up, they do have the Ravens, Browns, and Falcons moving forward. So, Combs, should the Cardinals panic and put Kyler Murray in there, or should they be patient and let him just sit out for the rest of the season?
Be patient because the new Call of Duty comes out in 2 weeks. You don't want Kyler Murray coming back in because you're going to lose him in 2 weeks anyway. I would be patient here and just keep going with the way you're going, because right now you're trending towards a top 5 draft pick, and Kyler Murray's not going to do you any better anyway. The guy was not very good before he got hurt. I don't think he's the answer there. And at this point, you're playing to try to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah, so I'm going to take everything that you just said, and I'm going to roll it up, and I'm going to use it against you, because the simple fact of the matter is that the Cardinals need to panic 100%. Combsy, they need to get Kyler Murray out there, because they need to get this man off of the freaking books. They need Kyler Murray to play out of his damn mind and get him out of town. He needs to play at an MVP level so they can get a first-round pick so they can be just like the Houston Texans. They can get the first overall pick and then maybe get like a third overall pick, and bada bing, bada boom, to the moon, baby. To the moon 100%. So it is time to panic in Arizona, get Kyler Murray out of town, and they will be great next season. Actually, I lied. They will never be great. Ever be great. John says, trade Kyler to Vegas for Jimmy G and McDouce and a sandwich with a bag of chips.
I mean, sure. I'd trade Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson's masseuse. I would trade Kyler Murray for just about anything at this point because he's just not worth anything. You get a bag of football. If I trade you for a bag of footballs, Kyler Murray, I'm overpaying.
You guys are so toxic today. So toxic running down the road. Jim says Murray needs to go. He doesn't beat the Cowboys. What does that have to do with anything?
Murray doesn't beat anybody. He's not very good.
Beats himself.
He has a winning record versus the 49ers.
I hear he's pretty good on Call of Duty.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Hoffy,
Maybe you could enter a couple tournaments, make some money that way.
what are your thoughts?
I mean, if I'm Chicago, I'm trading straight up Fields for Murray.
Jesus. Way to try
I'll
to
punch you
troll.
right in your throat.
I think,
Maybe Bagent for Murray.
Whoa. Let's not get
Whoa,
crazy.
whoa.
Bajan is the future in Chicago, baby.
That is Tom Brady 2.0. You're not trading him.
Shoot, 3.0. Better version. Because he's sexy, too. With those tattoos. Man, that guy's a rebel.
I hate you both so much.
Don't hate us because we're trying to root for your team and be successful.
Don't hate us because you ain't us.
My team's never going to be successful. Have you seen this franchise?
With Tayshaun Bagent, they will. Super Bowl, baby.
Oh my God.
Super Bowl.
Maybe they need Taylor Swift to
Hey,
date one
another
of their
2
players.
weeks, they could be 500, Combs, and then look out for the Bears. If I remember you that correctly, I think that was you
That's
that said
not.
that.
That is absolutely not what I said. That is actually the exact opposite of what I said. I said if they find a way to beat the Chargers, they'll find a way to be 5-5 because they got 2 really bad games after that before they have the Lions, and the Lions will get to play the worst 500 team ever because you guys were talking about all the 500 teams that all these other teams are playing above 500. I said, well, if the Bears are at 500, does that mean that the Lions beating them is a good win? Exactly what I said. So shut your damn mouth and go suck on another balloon.
That is not what you said at all. I believe you said if the Bears
Pull
become
the tape.
500,
Pull the tape.
Fields will become an MVP level type of quarterback, and he is.
I said if they're 5-5, Fields doesn't get his job back
Hoffy,
because
clearly-
Bagent will be 4-0 at that point.
Clearly, Combs needs to roll back the tape because he
See,
definitely said.
sucking on helium is just a little, just does a little bit of damage.
Hey, for all
5
those
or so
listening right
seconds.
now, check
You
check
smoking
the
crack.
check
It's
the
gonna affect you
Facebook
for the rest of
pages
your life.
later because I'm gonna find the footage. I'm gonna clip it
You ain't
and I'm
gonna
gonna
find
post it.
shit.
Okay.
'Cause
I'm
we're
going
gonna
through it right
hide
now.
all of that
I'm leaving.
evidence. Please do. The show will get a
We're
hell of a
gonna.
lot
He
better.
just said we're gonna hide all the evidence.
Easy, Robert.
Who was
Kraft.
it?
He's been a.
It's not. Yeah,
He's been a
it's on the
patriot since
internet.
he
You
was
can't just hide stuff anymore. You can't just videotape it and hide it. I know you're a patriot and you guys are used to videotaping things and trying to not get caught, but that doesn't happen in the real world.
Oh yeah, because Don Shula didn't walk the track during people's practices with a disguise, but
Well, did he? Don Shula didn't get caught. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly.
he got caught. They just didn't do shit about it. Nobody cared.
Oh, here we go. Let me feel bad for the Patriot
Still gotta
fan
play the
who's,
damn game.
who's won
Doesn't
6
matter.
Super Bowls in the last 20 years. Shut up.
Don't be mad because you haven't won one since like 85, 86.
God.
Provided that was against.
Don't you
the
have a
Patriots.
yellow brick road to go find?
That's
Listen,
the Wizard of Oz.
Hoffy,
That's
that
not
was
the-
the dumbest joke Combs has ever said, and nobody understands it at all.
That's the
so-
Wizard of Oz. We're not talking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Lollipop, lollipop.
That the Lollipop Kids is not from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's from the Wizard of Oz, you moron.
Whatever. Candy Same thing.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, well, the Lollipop Kids weren't with Dorothy on the Yellow Brick Road either.
Yes, they were.
Whatever.
Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
Jim says he got the joke. Jim, do not encourage Brandon Combs at all.
Judy, I need some more of those balloons.
Holy good God. All right, let's double doink our way into the final panic or patient here. The Miami Dolphins running back room just got a hell of a lot thinner with Raheem Mostert now on the injury report with his ankle. Combs, is it time for the Miami Dolphins to panic or be patient with their running back room getting thinner and thinner and thinner?
I mean, they're all right now. I know, losing a Shane was a tough loss. I think Mostert will be just fine. You also still have Jeff Wilson, who has shown through his time in San Francisco that he can be a good running back and can hold down the fort, even if Mostert does have to miss some time or does even have to platoon with him. I like Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. I like their running back, and plus they're predicated on the pass too. A lot like we were talking about the Buccaneers earlier. This team passes the ball a lot more than they run the ball, so I think they're fine. I'd be patient in Miami.
Yeah, and I believe it was our man Arthur Brown. Haven't seen him in chat all today, but I believe he said that they have like 10 injuries on the offensive side of the ball alone. Right, they are. Wait a couple weeks, and when everybody's back, we're going to be the firepower, right? They got Acne should be coming back from injury reserve here in a few weeks as well. They still got Raheem Mostert. They still got Jeff Wilson as well. So I think I'm with you on this. I think they just need to be patient. They just need to be like, okay, we're going to weather the storm. We'll be just fine. And when push comes to shove, we're going to be battle tested. And then Jameson wants to come in the chat here and says that the Dolphins should trade for Dalvin Cook. Listen, they didn't want Dalvin Cook when he was a free agent. Why would they want to trade for him now?
I
Jets
mean,
aren't going to trade it for the team in their division.
True.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean the Jets still have a legitimate shot at the AFC East, so I don't know that they're going to be looking to unload Dalvin Cook unless for some reason he's been, a headache in the locker room for whatever reason. But if that's the case, then you're Miami, you're not bringing that in.
Yeah, and I believe Dalvin Cook kind of has a say in where he goes. I'm not for sure if exactly is it a no trade clause, but he can say no, I don't want to go to said team. And I feel like if he is going to get traded, he is going to want to go to a team that is going to have a potential at a Super Bowl. And Miami Dolphins don't have potential at a Super Bowl. Sorry.
That's true.
Hoffy, any thoughts
False.
on that?
I think the Dolphins need to. I mean, I think you'd be patient. You have the Patriots this week. You know you're going to beat them. It's in Miami. Patriots don't perform in Miami. They haven't, even with Tom Brady on the team. There's no way, regardless, healthy or not, that they're beating the Chiefs. Let's be honest. So, by the time you're rolling around to the Raiders, the Jets, the Commanders, the Titans, all winnable games, you should have, your rookie running back. So I think you'd be patient.
You don't think the Dolphins can beat the Chiefs right now?
Any given Sunday, we've seen that this year, but no, I don't think that's going to happen. The Chiefs haven't given up 20 points all year. That might be the one game that they do. That might be the first one, but that defense is suspect, and Pat Mahomes and the rest of that, Chiefs offense is going to dominate.
Yeah, and just to add to your point there, Hoffy, they do play in Germany, and we've seen offenses not travel overseas very, very well, but the defense seems to travel very well. And with the Kansas City Chiefs having one of the best defenses in the NFL, that is going to be a recipe for disaster for the Miami Dolphins.
Have you watched the NFL this year? Where things that go crazy, and I can see the Dolphins absolutely winning that game. I mean, the Chiefs have not been a juggernaut this season. they've
I'm
had a
not saying
couple
they
of very good games, but I mean, look, yeah, sure, they put up 41 on the Bears, but so did the Perkins School for the Blind, and so
Their wide receiver know how to catch the ball away from being undefeated.
but okay, so let's go back to your age-old question, Buck. Who have they played?
Who have the Chiefs played?
Yeah,
They
The
played
teams in front of them.
They played the Jaguars. Yeah, they played the teams in front of them. They played the Jaguars. They have played the Chargers. They have played the Detroit Lions. They are a hell of a lot more battle tested.
they lost to the Lions.
Okay.
They should have beat them. Shut
The
up.
Jaguars aren't anybody. The Bears aren't anybody. The Jets, I mean, they beat the Jets by 3. Probably should have beat them by a lot more.
Jaguars
They beat the
have won
Vikings, so has
4 in a
everybody else.
row.
They beat the Broncos, so have everybody else. And the Chargers are 2-5.
Okay, the Chargers still one of the best teams on paper, hands down. The Detroit Lions, it was opening week, right? Anything can happen. They still battled them without Travis Kelce and Chris Jones on the field. Was it 21-20, right? And then the Jaguars, they won 4 in a row. The Jaguars are clicking on all cylinders.
But they weren't then.
Yes, they were. Yes, they couldn't find the red zone, but they were still playing good football.
Just ask SD Gamer.
They scored
he had them
9
as the number 1
points.
team in the NFL and a number 1 quarterback.
They scored 9 points because their defense is that damn good.
Nobody scored more than 20 on that defense, so you have to give that defense credit. You can't say it's, they haven't played anyone. They've dominated everybody.
You've got to give that
With or
defense
without
credit
Chris
because they
Jones.
played offenses that can't score. The Broncos can't score. The Vikings can't score. The Bears can't score. The Jaguars never put up 20 points. They haven't played any offense. Yes, the defense is good. I'm going to give you the Kansas City Chiefs defense is good. They haven't played an offense yet. When they play the Miami Dolphins, it's a completely different story, let alone having to travel all the way to Germany to do it. Let's say there's no way in hell they're beating the
The
Chiefs.
Chargers are
crazy?
putting up 24 points a game.
I got $100 right
They
now
didn't
that
break
says you're
20.
wrong. The Dolphins win that game.
Okay.
You got to check with your wife first.
Yeah.
I no. See, between the 3 of us, I'm the only one that doesn't have to check with my wife first.
And that is
Jacksonville's averaging 24 points a
I'm
game.
not going to go there,
Just for the
Combs.
Chargers.
And that's why I'm on my 3rd marriage.
Yep. Hoffy,
100%.
Hoffy, what'd you say?
Every single team they've played is averaging more than 20 points a game, and none of the teams have cracked 20.
Bingo was his name-o, Combsy.
Okay.
And that's how the
You ever seen the show Howdy Doody?
I've already put it out there. The Dolphins are going to beat the Chiefs.
Okay.
Oh,
Whatever.
Combs, I'm going to start calling you Howdy Doody.
I don't get it.
You're a clown.
Are you going to bring me to Munchkin Land after? Or?
Sure. I'll even bring you some balloons. Judy's bringing some down right now.
Wow, what happened to your voice? Did you get manly all of a sudden? Jesus. Whoa.
I got a cold. Leave me alone.
Judy came in. You couldn't see her hand down below where the camera is at, but she came in and turned the bass up on his because he doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's talk about a little bit of Buffalo Bills taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight. This is Thursday night matchup. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Buffalo Bills. And Combs, I got 4 things that I am looking for in this game. Number 1 is I think that the Buffalo Bills have to avoid a slow start. The last 3 games, the Buffalo Bills have fell behind 11-0 to the Jaguars, 6-0 to the Giants, and 13-3 to the Patriots at halftime. They did lose 2 of those 3 games to the Jaguars and the New England Patriots. Probably should have lost to the New York Giants as well, but that is here nor there. Combs, do you think that the Buffalo Bills can start hot tonight?
They have to. You have to come out and you have to make a statement tonight, because right now I'm to the point with the Buffalo Bills that I'm questioning whether or not they can even win their own division. And before the season, I would have never thought that was going to be a thing heading into week 8.
Yeah, they are definitely not playing very good football, very inspired football right now at all. Number 2 thing that I am looking for tonight is Baker Mayfield needs to bounce back. The previous week, Baker Mayfield has been playing out of his mind, throwing for 300 yards, no touchdowns. ever since the Detroit Lions game, which he did have 171 yards and a touchdown in the first half. The second half, he was kind of The rushing attack is worse than the NFL. Combs, can Baker Mayfield have a good game tonight?
You can. This Buffalo Bills defense has shown that you can pass on it, and especially like I said, they've had a really good run game going as of late. I really do like Rashad White out of the backfield. Keyshawn Vaughn is a good backup. Not to mention, a lot of people forget they also have Chase Edmonds as well.
Yeah.
I really like this team, and I really like what Baker Mayfield can do, especially with Mike Evans. If Chris Godwin is there, I know he's questionable for tonight, but if they're at full capacity, this could be a long night for Buffalo.
Yeah, and Chris Godwin is expected to play tonight versus the Buffalo Bills. Number 3 thing that I'm looking for is the emergence of Dalton Kincaid. So with Dawson Knox being on IR for an extended period of time with his wrist injury, Dalton is going to, I think he is going to shine. Last week he had 8 catches for 75 yards. I think he continues that trend and definitely steps up. Do you think a tight end for the Buffalo Bills is going to be key tonight, Combs?
Yeah, I really liked the draft pick of Dalton Kincaid. Coming out of Utah, dude was a stud at Utah. I think he was probably the best tight end in the draft. I thought Buffalo got a steal at the time. So I think Dalton Kincaid will have a great game. I think he's the tight end of the future in Buffalo.
And the final thing that I am looking for tonight is the Bucs receiving core finally stepping up. The receiver core has been kind of suspect the last, all season long. Mike Evans has been so bipolar, up and down, up and down. Chris Godwin doesn't have one touchdown catch all season long. And their number 3, Trey Palmer, who? Yeah, Trey Palmer only has 9 catches for 94 yards on the season. Can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiver core finally step up and show out tonight, Combs?
Yeah, I actually think that they've been pretty good for most of the year, pretty consistent for most of the year. Evans has 30 catches on the year. Godwin's got 33 on the year. Even Rashad White out of the backfield has 22 catches on the year. This passing game, I think, will be just fine. Especially, again, against a Buffalo Bills team that has shown that if nothing else, you can pass on them, especially in a play-action game that Tampa Bay likes to run.
Yeah, well, you do have to have a solid running game to be play action effectively. That's why adding Derrick Henry would be very, very key to that. Hoffy, any thoughts on tonight's game? The 4 things that I listed, what are you most intrigued to learn about?
I think that the Bills do need to get off a hot start, especially Josh Allen. I think this is the game that will be beneficial for him because of the fact that the Buccaneers are pretty good in the run defense, not so much in the pass. I think they're 26th in pass defense, so I think Josh Allen is due to have a bounce-back big game. And I feel like, unfortunately, this is going to be one of those games where we look at Baker Mayfield and go, what the hell are you doing? I think tonight he's going to struggle against a Bills secondary.
All right, so with that being said, Hoffy, who do you got tonight, and what is your score?
I got the Bills tonight. I think it's going to be 27-18.
Combsy, to you, who do you got tonight?
Wow. I am going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm going to go 23-20.
And I am going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. I do think they bounce back. I think they have a great game. You guys are picking kind of high scores for Thursday. I think it's going to be a nice little defensive battle. Let's say 13-9 is the final score tonight.
Wow.
A lot of
If
field goals
Buffalo
tonight.
only puts up 9 points tonight, we're talking tomorrow about what's wrong in Buffalo and do they need to start making moves.
All right, so we do have one question popping in. Hoffy, this is for you. Jim Powell says, Hoffy, what's going on with Malik Cunningham?
The Patriots cut him for a second time. I mean,
he got signed back to the
after
practice squad.
Whatever. but they've cut him twice. I mean, he's not Lamar Jackson according to the Patriots, but watch he'll go to Chicago and he'll be the world's greatest.
Hey, Hoffy,
Lamar Jackson.
I have a question for you. Last week you were talking about fantasy and picking up a player from the Cardinals. What was his name? Keontae Ingram, right?
Yeah.
So I picked up.
I didn't say pick him up. I
picked up Keontae Ingram because I needed a running back last week because my 2 running backs were on a bye, and he scored me 0 points and didn't even touch the ball once. So I'd like to thank you for said interaction, and you caused me to lose my second game in a row in my fantasy football league.
I'm
So
not Torrey Anderson. I'm not talking fantasy points. I was talking about a player that nobody, a player that nobody had heard of, putting up big numbers.
And guess what? Nobody's still heard about him bringing up big numbers.
Whatever. I was told to bring up performance of the week and someone that you guys hadn't heard about. I did that. I stumped y'all.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying go sign him in fantasy football because if you want my advice, I'd give you, my team. My team's undefeated thus far. So buzz off.
And because it's just you and yourself in the league. It's a 1-team league. So you're going to stay undefeated.
Twin boys that are 10 years old and don't know football.
Yeah, see, even more. So,
oh, and Judy too.
Wow, that's great.
I'm surprised she's not undefeated. She probably knows more than you do.
So jumping back into Jim Powell's question here, Malik Cunningham has been cut twice this year, and he's passed through waivers twice this year as well. So the Patriots did sign him back to the practice squad. So clearly he's not going to go to Chicago, Hoffy. Clearly he's not going to go to the Ravens or the Cardinals.
Okay, all right.
Nobody wants him.
After his performance against the Bills last week, apparently they think Mac Jones has got it figured out. So they don't need a backup quarterback because Bailey Zappi is trash. He was
so
cut
is Mac
too.
Jones.
So what? I'd say we're going to get Caleb Williams, but I don't even want that cancer.
Yeah, he's going to have to,
I'll take
20% ownership or
Nix.
something?
Yeah, I'll take Bo Nix or whatever.
57-year-old quarterback.
Joke's on you. Patriots weren't even on his list of 5 teams that he would come out of USC for.
It's because he wasn't expecting them to be at the bottom.
All right. With that being said, that is it for today's show. See you guys tomorrow, live, raw, uncut sports talk, 10 a.m. East
Jody,
Coast
I need
time.
more balloons.
Combsy, send us out.
Man, our nation, rise up.